Welcome back to Pole Barn Garage, where after a very long wait, we finally have the Holey Goat's numbers matching original Pontiac 400 back in our possession. When we last saw this motor, it was literally encased in dirt, sand, and cactuses. So this is the original 400 out of the Holey Goat. Let's look inside of this for the first time, probably since it was assembled. Oh my god. Well, that's what you call bad. This is the worst I've ever seen in my life. Look at this. I've never seen this before. The push rod has a hole rotted in it. This one's almost there. That's not as bad as I had imagined. That's definitely a factory head gasket, for sure. You can still see shiny metal in these cylinders. I bet these could be reworked too. I bet there's nothing wrong with them. Holy crap. So this is all mud. But these pieces here, that's the windage tray. I knew it would be bad, but I just wasn't prepared for this. That was the oil pump pickup. It just disintegrated in my hand. Oh my gosh. This looks fine. It still has oil in it. There it goes. That one's actually not that bad. Look at these freaking journals. This thing could be saved. I am not asking. So let's try to walk the cam out. I'm just going to rotate it as much as I can. And just like that, 3 hours later, there is one immortal Pontiac bump stick. But somehow, all those years of being shot at in the Holey Goat, the Pontiac GTO that was used as target practice for almost 50 years, the engine never took a hit. It's fine. It's still alive. All that said, I spent way too much money saving this engine, so please go to polebarnmerch.com and get yourself a hat and a shirt to help fuel my passion project of the Holey Goat to the business. This isn't just a standard Pontiac 400 any longer. It is a 461 stroker with custom forged pistons in it. These have a big dish in them so that we could use the original cylinder heads from the Goat. I was a stickler about that. I want this engine to be exactly the way it was when it rolled off of the assembly line at Arlington, Texas in 1970. It was a long road to get here. My machine shop, Shaky B's Machine in Kansas City, Missouri, yes, they took 2 years to do the engine, but that machine shop used to be Man Speed Specialty in Kansas City, and back in the day, that name really meant something. Don Mann was a real expert with BOP engines, and he taught his sons, Eric and Dana, who did all the machine work and the short block assembly of this engine. And that's a good thing, because this thing has had to have 8 sleeves put in it. Every single hole had to be re-sleeved. The engine had to be line bored. The cam journals had to be bored and straightened out as well. Everything was screwed on this thing. I think Dana told me, even on the cylinder heads, he had to extract, drill out, and re-thread half of the intake bolts. It was destroyed. And they brought it back from the dead, and that is worth credit. This engine, even with the iron head, and with our comp roller cam in here, which is a 521 on the intake side, 540 on exhaust, and 236, 242 at 50 duration. This engine should be ballpark of 500 horsepower in the Holey Goat, which I think we all know is a terrible idea. So I've got a whole pile of parts here. I have to finish the long block assembly. Let's get on that right now, and we're going to try to get this thing stuffed in the Holey Goat and reunited with its original numbers matching car. Let's start with putting a timing cover on it. That way we can roll it over and get the oil pan on. There were a few things I was not able to salvage from the original engine. One of those things was the timing cover. So I got a new one here. I think it's an Engine Quest timing cover, and I've had pretty good luck with these in the past. We just need to press a new seal into the front, then we can go ahead and get that installed. Almost. Just going to put a thin layer of right stuff around the timing cover here. So even though they cleaned this thing as best they could, see how pitted it is around those coolant passages? It is what it is. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. We'll just make it up with a little RTV and it'll be all right. Now, I know you guys are probably like, wait a minute, Dalton, aren't you going to paint your brand new gazillion-dollar engine? No. No, I'm not. I want this. I'm starting a new trend. It's called the patina engine. I'm not painting it. I just want to, I want it to naturally decay and look like it was always in the car and it's never been touched. It's a sleeper engine. Get our timing cover on. I just noticed that it doesn't have the dowels installed in the block to center it. But that's alright. There's another way to do it. There's supposed to be 2 dowels on the bottom that center this cover where it's supposed to be. So let me get all these bolts started. You see how that's got some play to it? Yes. Not a lot, but enough. So what you can do, this is not a press-on balancer, so you can, theoretically, that's a very tight fit. On a normal Pontiac, that just slides on and off. Maybe the aftermarket crank is making this a little different. Well, I don't know. I need to pull that back off and get it better, but it is on enough that we can center up this timing cover. You can see that it doesn't move very much now, so now we can tighten it down, get it done. Just to act as a placeholder, because we don't have a water pump to put on it yet. A couple of lug nuts behind a couple of bolts here, just to get the cover bolted tight against the block. That'll let that RTV set up and it'll be fine to pull those out and then bolt a water pump to it. With the cover in place, it's going to make bolting the oil pan on a lot easier. Got all forged internals now. It's a stout, to say the least. And it is a Pontiac, so it is a 2-bolt main. Almost all of them are, with very few exceptions. So let's clean off the lube off everything, and we'll get our oil pump installed, and then we can install our new oil pan. For an oil pump, we've just got a Melling. It's a Super Duty pump. Same factory pump that Pontiac used in all their Super Duty engines. These things make like 80 pounds of pressure, and they have quite a bit of volume as well. If I would have bought this, I would have, sprung the extra $10 for the bolt-on pickup. We've got the press-in pickup on this one. The machine shop bought the pump. So there's a little notch in the oil pump housing here, and that's the only places this can go is within that notch right there. So you've got about an 1/8 of an inch of play or so. We'll check it, but I'm just going to press this in all the way, and then we'll check our pump depth. But it really can't be very far off on a Pontiac. It's been a minute since I've rebuilt an engine, even though I'm not really building it, but it's been a minute since I really had to put something together, and this is a Pontiac, duh. It's supposed to have a windage tray. A baffle that keeps the oil from slinging up on the crank too much. This is a 461, which means it needs a spacer. You can even see from this counterweight here how close that is. So Butler Performance, they sell a spacer kit and a 3/4 windage tray that you can put in here and it'll bolt right in. The other thing I was missing is a damn dipstick. I don't have one. I don't think I ever got it out of the block. Butler also carries a dipstick kit. Pontiac dipsticks press into the block, so it's not quite as easy as just sticking it in from the top. I just called them. They're going to ship all that out. We can finish up our oil pump depth here. Then we're just going to have to wait until we get our parts. Got my Play-Doh out here It's a very official engine building tool. We want to check our oil pump depth, right? So what you do is you just take a little ball of Play-Doh, stick it right there, and then we set our oil pan on there, and it's going to smush it down and tell us how close it is to the bottom of the pan. I put a little tape on there so it doesn't turn into one of them spaghetti maker toy things. It's a little much. It's a little bit too much. So, but unfortunately, we don't really have a choice. I mean, what is that's probably at least 3/4 of an inch. Should be more like half. Well, I guess it's fine. Because it can't go on top of there. Otherwise, it's too tall. So this has got to be it. I mean, the rule of thumb is it needs to be perpendicular with your oil pan rail, and it is. So that's got to be it. Just a little tack on here. That ought to hold it on there. I'm pretty sure that's what I did to the engine that's in the car right now. So it held up for like, I don't know, 75,000 miles and a lot of abuse. Now normally this is where you would put your oil pump drive shaft in, but I have a tangless drive shaft from Butler that can install from the top. I didn't know it was tangless until I got it, but that's what I got. I paid for that one. I didn't call begging for parts like I did a few minutes ago. Well, I'm glad we got a little bit of an early start on this, because there were definitely a few things we need. We'll get some parts coming tomorrow, and I guess while we wait for the other parts, we could go ahead and get the heads put on and stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna slap the oil filter housing on here on a Pontiac. They just bolt on the side. I got a new one from Butler Performance a while back, and then we're gonna flip it right side up and go ahead and get the heads put on it, and then we can measure for push rod length. Alright, we're going to want to wipe out those cylinders real good and clean the surfaces real well. I kind of slathered everything in oil while it sat for about a month here. Got stainless steel valves now, of course. There's a little bit of port work done. You can see where they actually had to weld this exhaust port back together. But these are the original heads to the car, and they are ported just a little bit, not a lot. You can tell it's a passenger side head on a Pontiac because it's got the heater hose nipple. Machine shop supplied me with Cometic MLS gaskets. You can get away with an MLS gasket when the engine is brand new, but I wouldn't use them unless you've got freshly machined surfaces. But that fits nice. I just wanted to look at it, make sure it fits around all the bores nice, make sure all the coolant passages are open, and it all looks just fine to me. So we should be good to go ahead and throw the head on. Cometic recommends you put these on dry, so that's what I will do. If it was a shim style gasket, I would use some copper coat, but I think in MLS, I don't think you want copper coat. You also don't want to pinch your t-shirt in between the head. There we go. Fits nice. Got some ARP fasteners here for it. So we'll just get all the bolts hand started, and then we'll start our torque sequence. ARP recommends you put a little of their fastener assembly lube on the underside of the bolt, under the head. That's so it doesn't bind up on that washer, and you get a more accurate torque reading that way. And then also just a touch of it on the threads. Old school would be put a little motor oil on the threads. That works too, but if they provide it to you, you may as well use it, right? So we got to torque these in 3 stages up to 100 pounds. So I'm just going to go to 50, then 75, and then 100. And we start in the middle and work our way out. Now 75. 100. With the heads on, we can put the lifters in. For lifters, some Morel roller lifters. These are their retrofit deals here. We're just going to install one, like so. I've been soaking them in break-in oil. I'm old school. I think you get a better reading out of them if the lifter's full of oil. We did get our new balancer on. I just didn't have it lined up the first time. It's going no problem now. So we get this on all the way, then we'll have a way that we can rotate the engine and line up the timing marks with a balancer. Now let's get this thing on the base circle of the cam. Handy thing about a Pontiac is you can just sit here and watch the cam. And we'll make sure that 0 really is 0. See how there's no lobe showing? Alright, so with it on top dead center here, basically the exhaust valve is just starting to open, right? So we can do the intake valve. And I'm gonna just color in the valve stem with a Sharpie. And we're going to install this rocker at 0 lash. And then we're gonna hope that these push rods are right. Put this down by hand. You see that slop there? We're just gonna get it to where, right there, there's no slop. I can still spin it. And then we're going to go half a turn. Tighten the set screw. Now that should be good. Give it a little visual here, and it looks like it's too short to me, but we'll rotate the engine over 1 full revolution, and we'll check our witness mark on the valve stem. There it goes, opening it up. We'll do it a couple of times, just make sure we get a real good one. Tough to see, but it's definitely a little bit short of a push rod. I have a measuring tool. If we have to do that, we'll do that, but I think I got another set. Let me try them. I did have another set. They're 895. They're about 4/10 bigger, but I don't know, worth a shot. Those are just a touch long. They're closer to the center than the first ones, that's for sure. Got one more push tube to try that I had on hand. Came out of that 350 we put together for the Sky Goat that is full of crud and overheated. That engine actually needed a touch longer push tube anyway, which is why I had that other set. This one, to look at it, it looks nearly perfect, an 8.85. We'll just verify that, but I think these are going to be fine. And if that's the case, we'll just go rob all of those push tubes out and then replace them with those longer ones that, you know, I have been meaning to do anyway, and I haven't done. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty damn good. I don't think we're going to get any better than that. It's just a smidge too long, but if we were to go a 1/10 smaller, I bet it would probably be a smidge too short, so it's better to be on the long side of it. It's good to be a Pontiac guy. Usually have stuff in stock. You replacing those as you go?
Yeah.
You don't got to adjust them or nothing, just get it loosely assembled. They'll just be in it. I've got a rebuild kit for that engine. We're going to try some really hardcore DIY stuff to fix that thing up. When you run roller lifters in a Pontiac, you got to change the valley pan to a different style. I've never used this before. It doesn't look like the one Butler offers. I guess we'll see. The last time I tried one from Butler, I had some difficulty getting it lined up, and this one just plain doesn't fit. I don't really understand why. I mean, maybe you just force it, but I don't generally like to just force things, you know.
Maybe we put a nut on that and then...
I wish this one would come out. I guess I could pull the stud out a little bit. We'll see what happens if we just tighten this down.
Tighten it down slow, I guess.
Maybe once we bend it to shape, then it'll be alright.
I guess so.
It's working. It's sucking down. It's bending itself into shape. This will work. I'm going to tighten it down just so we hopefully get the shape out of it, bend it. Yeah, that bent it into shape just doing that. Alright, well, I mean, it was there. You could, oh no, look. The gasket had fallen in. Glue the gasket to this, I think, and then install it. You think glue it to this or glue it to the engine?
Glue it to the engine.
I think this Wright stuff will work pretty good for that, but we'll have to wait about an hour and a half for it to set up all the way. Let's go find an intake, some sort of intake to use, and then let's maybe grab some lunch. We come back, that should be rock hard. What we got for intake choices here is the original intake from it, which I would love to use, but I don't currently have a good quadrajet for it, and I don't want to run an adapter plate on that. We'll hold off on that. I'd like to go get that thing boiled and then maybe get the original quadrajet done. Might send that whole unit and the original quadrajet to my carb guy out in New Jersey, and he could flow test that and get that thing all prettied up. What we got here is a Edelbrock Performer RPM swap meet special. Mortsky Repair dropped this thing off to me when he stopped by a little while ago. It looks beautiful. I mean, other than the spray can job. The thing is, though, we got to make it match that engine. And if we're going for the rustic look, then we'll come up with something here. This is cast iron gray paint. It looks kind of like the cast iron engine, sorta. So we're just gonna bomb it with this. But then I've got a little brown here, little rust in it, you know, like that. Just a little. Looks like flash rust. Looks like the rest of the engine. I'm going all in on the patina engine. The Holey Goat is the most patinaed automobile in existence. So, I mean, that's what I am. I'm kind of a big patina guy. What do you think? It does. It looks kind of like crappy, flash-rusted iron.
Put a few spots here.
Here?
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Just a little dusting of it.
Oh, yeah. That's not bad at all.
It's going to match. I'm going to fill that in. I like that one. But and I got that valley pan on, and it looks pretty good to me. I don't see any gaps. Do you?
I don't see any.
It works. I want to rotate the engine to make sure we're not contacting anywhere. The other thing I realized is there's no PCV provision in this, so we're going to have a PCV valve in a valve cover. Listen for clunks.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
The machine shop provided me with these gaskets. They're Felpro's Performance line, but I'm not a fan of them. I've never had them fit right. See how it runs into everything? Like, we could trim that and make it work, I guess, but they're floppy. I don't know. I like the cheap gasket with the sealing ring. They fit better. They fit the port better. I'm just more of a fan of these. Plus, you get to use Pontiacs. These are really cool. You put these little orange deals in here, then they hold your gasket in place for you.
Awesome.
Always put a little RTV on the back of your timing cover, and always RTV your O-ring into the intake on a Pontiac. A lot of guys have them leaking, and I think if you just goop them up, usually it works. But you see how well just a factory style intake gasket fits? They're way better. And I mean, I guess if you had like an aluminum head, you may want that like higher performance gasket, but we need to hand start all the bolts. Now, before we tighten up the intake bolts on a Pontiac, you have to draw the intake forward with that bolt that goes in the front. And that seals your coolant bypass. So it's a little wonky to do without a water pump, but once you do it, you can pull it back out. It's just, you get that positioned. This will position the intake exactly where it needs to be. Also, don't over tighten this bolt. It will snap.
That's it?
That's it. Okay. Now we're ready to tighten them all. You can see it pull it forward about 1/8 of an inch. We're going to torque her out from the middle out. And, you know, very specific torques here. Tight. Tight is what we want.
Yes.
All the patina guys, they like to clear coat their cars, right? We're going to clear coat our engine. I got some flat clear here. Mostly I just want to kill the shine of that fresh intake, but the valve covers are just placeholders, although they are tempting me. I mean, they look pretty patina. Today's video is brought to you by Brunt Boots. We've been out surviving in the wilderness for 78 years now, and I found JD out here in the jungle. He also has Brunt boots. I got a new pair of Brunt slip-on boots. They're very comfy. It's a good thing you brought your own boots because I had to eat my last pair to survive. We're out here doing survival things, surviving in the jungle. We couldn't have done it without our highly durable, slip-resistant, and well-made Brunt boots. Did you see that intense action there?
Yep, I did.
Wow. Home sweet home. Take a load off of your Brunt boots. You could use my code to save $10 on a pair of Brunt boots right now. I highly recommend you do. They're so confident that you're gonna like them, they offer a free trial. So let's say you get your Brunt boots, you find yourself lost in the jungle, and you have to eat them. Well, they're not gonna take them back then, unfortunately, as I found out. But if you don't like them for any reason, you can send them back.
Whoa.
I credit that entirely to my Brunt boots.
You would slip if you didn't have Brunt boots.
Thank God they have slip-resistant soles. Why is there a truck door out here? Evidence of a forgotten civilization, perhaps.
Yep.
Make sure you use my code, save you some money. Link in the description. Well, there's our new windage tray, but we have a problem with that. As you can see, our number 2 main cap is drilled and tapped for it, just like it should be. But our number 4 main cap is a replacement and is not drilled nor tapped for a windage tray. Now, we don't need the windage tray, but what we do need is a way to support a dipstick to keep it out of the damn crank. So Butler Performance does have a workaround for that, and they're gonna send me a bracket. It'll be here tomorrow. It's always those little things that'll bite you in the ass. We're stuck waiting until tomorrow on that. However, I did get a water pump, so we can go ahead and install that, and probably most of our accessory brackets. The water pump is an area on the Pontiac where you can get yourself into trouble quick. Aftermarket water pumps are not made correctly, and they will cause overheating problems sometimes. I scored this new old stock water pump off of eBay for 50 bucks, and you'll note, see the cast iron impeller? That's key. This flows much better than the stamped steel ones offered today from China. This was a heck of a deal I got. It's a reman unit, factory GM, but it's new old stock. So that's going to work fantastic on this engine, and we shouldn't have any problems. There's 2 more things to a Pontiac water pump that are critical. These little dudes, and these rot a lot of times, so they do sell replacements. Put them in there with their O-rings, and then your diverter plate sits on top of them. That's key. You need 2 gaskets. So you put this under your water pump and put it on there. Without this, or if this is in poor condition, your car is going to overheat. Put a thin coat of RTV on this diverter plate. Basically what you want to do is attach your gaskets to this dude, set it on there, and then bolt your water pump on. Makes your life a little easier rather than fumbling around with trying to juggle 3 different things. One thing I don't like to do is put any silicone on the engine or on the water pump. If I can avoid that, that's what I want to do. If you leave the gaskets attached to this, theoretically, you can remove it and reinstall it, save your gaskets, and, you know, I don't know, makes a little less of a mess. And I've just got one other little trick. These long 3/8 bolts, they pass through all the way to a water jacket. Now they don't normally leak, but they do corrode into the alloy timing cover very often. Now these are stainless bolts. We shouldn't really have that problem, but just in case, if you just put a little assembly lube or anti-seize or something like that, doesn't got to go on the threads, just around the shank of the bolt. The next guy, he's gonna thank you, especially if it's you. I'm going to get all the accessories plugged in here, or at least everything that won't be in our way. That's the original water pump pulley off of that car. The crank pulley, I had to replace that because it kept eating power steering belts. The water pump pulley also eats power steering belts because it's a little pitted for some reason. But that's okay, we leave it on there for character. I've got all the brackets here. All this stuff is original to the car, which I think is kind of cool. Basically, all of this was bolted to this engine in 1970. I think that's neat. There's the bulk of the accessories on there. Crappy chrome alternator that's been on the car for years. Can't put the power steering pump on until you get a fuel pump on. We should have a new fuel pump tomorrow. Should have everything we need to finish it up tomorrow, and then we can pull the Holey Goat in and get it torn apart. Yeah. It's been a day, and I've had to do a lot of thinking here. I don't want to drill into a main cap here. And let me show you what I mean. I don't know if I explained this the other day, but number 4 cap has been replaced. We can't use a windage tray because of that. So Butler sells this nifty little lower dipstick tube and bracket, and it's really meant to bolt to the number 3 cap. Now what David over there told me to do is simply drill a hole in the middle of this and then use one bolt to secure it to the number 3 cap. Drill a hole and tap the cap for it. I don't want to drill a hole in my main cap. That scares me a lot. So dig this. What about this works just about right. What if I cut that off? I drill a 1/2 inch hole here. I don't have a lot of room for error, but it could be done. And then I've got enough studs sticking out there. I could put another nut, some red Loctite, and bolt that right to the main stud. Let's try to make the best of it. We'll lop it off here, and then we're going to drill a 1/2 inch hole right in the middle of that. Here's our dry fit. Looks pretty good. I can get half of the threads of that nut on there, which I think is enough. And we got plenty of clearance. I'm going to back that back off, put a little red Loctite on there, and we're all just going to kind of pray, aren't we? I guess that's just the way it is. We'll see if it works. If it works, you've learned a new trick. If it doesn't, you've learned a cautionary tale. Well, now that we can just ignore that and pretend it's not there, let's install our BOP one-piece oil pan gasket. Never used one of these. I've always wanted to, though. So you can see it's a shim gasket. Form it a bit to meet the timing cover. And that is a very, very common place to leak on a Pontiac. And that fits very, very nice. What a quality piece. This might be something I have to use from now on. And we're just going to silicone the corners of the timing cover where it meets the gasket. We're going to do that on both sides of the gasket. And then we're also going to put some silicone on the rear arch over the rear main cap. Just a little bit. We don't want to squeeze it out, but a little bit in there just to make up for any porosity that might exist, and certainly does exist, because that is an original main cap. And in the corners of that groove, put a little glob in there, just like you would on your normal oil pan gasket. Drop our oil pan on. Just make sure that it all lines up. Looks pretty good. Start putting some bolts in. Oil pan installed. Let's make sure the crank doesn't hit. Sounds good to me. Pan's on, engine's more or less right side up. I did install the oil pump drive shaft. I had a little bit of a hard time with that. I should have filmed it, but I got so focused on it. Not gonna lie to you, it fell into the pan. I had to pull the pan back off. But it's done now. I used an O-ring to hold it in the block. I was not happy. Anyway, we can throw some plugs in it now, I think. I'll probably roll it over to top dead center first. Then I'm going to throw these AC Delco 43S's in there. These are just the standard plug for a Ram Air 3 Pontiac 400. And we're just going to gap them because they're going to come gap for points. That one's at less than 30. We're going to be running an HEI, so we're going to have to re-gap them all to about 45 thou. I have a distributor coming tomorrow. Oh, and I have a fuel pump to put on. I'll catch you there. These Edelbrock fuel pumps are one of the last ones you can get that's made in USA, and you know, that's halfway decent. And I figured we would probably end up needing a little extra flow out of it anyway. So these things flow like 110 gallons per hour at 6 psi. The stock unit flows like 40 or 50 gallons per hour. The only thing I don't like about them, actually I hate, is that they use NPT fittings. So you got to use a thread sealant, a fuel resistant thread sealant of some kind. Otherwise they're going to leak like crazy on you. Doesn't make any sense. I wish you could just buy an American made, good quality, high performance fuel pump that just looked like the original one. That would be great, but you can't. Well, that's as much as we can do for now. Let's push this up front and get the goat in. It's going to sound really ironic, but this old girl's kind of worse for wear these days. I got to weld the hood back together. It broke in half the last time we drove it. You'll have that on these big jobs, I guess. Well, I think pulling this thing out would be pretty straightforward. This is the placeholder 400. I had that engine laying around when we first threw this car together 3 years ago. I bought that like 10 years ago for 400 bucks. I put a little Summit Racing camshaft in it. I know that I have driven that at least 70,000 miles, and it was just a used engine. It's pretty dang impressive if you ask me. And it's really not bad. It's just worn out. It could use a re-ring and could go on to live in something else pretty easily. Well, let's start with getting the hood off of this thing. Like I said, I gotta weld that back together. Might as well do that while we got it off. We got a few things to do to the old Holey Goat here. And of course our custom Butler Performance valve covers. We need to rob those and get those on that engine, because why not? I forgot I welded the hood hinge on this side. Now what kind of idiot would do that? Huh. Well, we'll just take the hinge off the fender. That'll work fine. This car and I kind of have a blood debt to each other. It owes me its life, but I also owe it my livelihood. You wouldn't be watching me right now if it wasn't for this car right here. Talk about fate, man. Talk about fate. It feels good to work on it again. Oops. Hey, I got a new hood tack for it too. One that actually is a hood tack. We'll install it if we have the time. First things first, I'm taking my cool valve covers off and planting them upon the new engine and the dipstick. We need that. I don't have one of those. Now, you guys might remember I have a progression ignition in this unit here. It's a really neat thing that lets you adjust your timing tables and stuff on the fly. And it has this really cool feature that locks out the distributor so that nobody can start the car, you know? It's really cool. It's an app on your phone. When you get that distributor, it comes with a pin that you need to access the app and link it to that distributor. And then it says on that piece of paper, do not lose this. Well, funny thing, I lost it. And I have since gotten a new phone, so I can't access that distributor. So it's just gonna not have that anymore, and I'll put a regular distributor back in it. These are kind of gonna be a giveaway to what's in the engine itself, but I think they gotta go on there. I mean, they're just too cool. I don't know if this is the right move or not, but I've always had pretty good luck of just pulling the engine on a Pontiac and then leaving the transmission in the car. It could save you a couple hours of work. So I've done that a few times with some success. I think I'll try it again here. Every time I pull a transmission, I make a gigantic bloodbath no matter what I do, and I'd like to avoid that if I can. Looks like I'm going to have to redo some of my jumper cable grounding and battery cables on this thing. That's the danger of copper-clad aluminum CCA. It's junk. But we did this thing cheap. AMSOIL sent me some break-in oil a little while ago. You can use my link in the description to save 25% off as a preferred customer. Now, this break-in oil is not strictly necessary since we don't have a flat tappet cam, but it won't hurt. It'll help the rings seat. And we'll run it in there for a little while. And I like to drain it pretty quick. I mean, after 3 or 4 heat cycles, you know, it's out of there for me. I'm getting pretty brave freeballing this in there. One of the best things about the Holey Goat is the fact that it can be deconstructed in seconds, basically with nothing but a pair of wire cutters. Cut some zip ties, you pull some self-tappers out, and boom, the car's disassembled. Yeah, literally, I shot self-tappers into the radiator. I forgot about that. Phillips had self-tappers. I must have been feeling pretty spendy that day. Oh, shit. Well, I almost got away without making a mess. I've been hard at it this morning, getting this thing ready to yank. You know, I didn't film it because sometimes you just got to spend some personal time with your car, if you know what I mean. Me and this car, we have a very special bond together, and sometimes we just have to be alone for a little while. I'm 2 motor mounts away and 6 bell housing bolts. And, I gotta disconnect this fuel pump, I guess. But then we should be ready to pop her out of here. Not sure how doable this is with the car in the air, but I'm gonna try because I think it would make my life easier. And we're off the trans. And it moved a lot. Oops, I didn't have the jack under there enough. Thank you for your service, Mystery 400. You've been a damn good motor. Yeah, just go ahead and puke everywhere. I'll get the oil dry out here in a minute. Can you tell I've pulled a few Pontiac engines in my day? I gotta rob the motor mounts off of this thing. Driver's side's the important one. Oh, it's good. It's loose on the side of the engine, but it's still good. I'm sure tripling the power of the engine isn't gonna kill these things quickly. I was just about to throw the engine in, but I decided I really probably ought to prime the thing, run the oil pump, make sure that works before I put it in the car, make sure everything works, right? And then, of course, my shiny new distributor showed up. I got a good deal on this. $180 for an Igniter 2 distributor. It was on like Amazon's used side, but duh, I forgot I can't use this distributor gear, and it's a few days out on a bronze one. When you have a billet roller camshaft, you have to have a distributor gear that's softer than the cam. This is a hardened gear. This would eat the cam. That would be bad. I have an alternative. Remember that 350 we put together with all the Butler goodies? Well, it had a polymer gear on its distributor, so I'll just use the whole distributor out of it and rob parts from it to make this live. It's car guy math. That's just how it works. My distributor priming tool is a big long screwdriver I cut off a long time ago. I like it because I can see the drive shaft while I spin it, although it is a little clunky. Damn, that's a lot of pressure. Key thing there is we're not starting the engine dry. That would be very, very bad. At least everything's got some oil on it now. I've marked on the distributor where I want number 1 to be. So I want my vacuum advance to come out the driver's side. If we can't get it there, we're going to take whatever we get as number 1, because once this goes in, I'm not pulling it back out. Okay, I was off a little bit, but that is whatever. As long as that lines up with something, you can make anywhere you want on the distributor. It can be number 1. Just worried about that freaking tangless distributor oil pump drive shaft. I'm afraid if I pull this back out, there is a risk that it would drop down in the pan, and I think moving some spark plug wires around is the easiest way to avoid that risk. We'll make that number 1 here. I think that'll work. That gives us enough play. We spin counterclockwise. We're going to go this way to advance I think this will work. I'll put a dot on that, now I know. Let's get this off here so we can mount up our flex plate, which is a special neutral balanced unit paired with the balancer. You know, it's kind of funny. This is an SFI flex plate, fancy one, right? And Pontiacs are all internally balanced, so theoretically this thing should be neutral from the factory. But look at all the drilling they had to do to get true neutral out of this. On any flex plate, I like to use blue Loctite, red bottle blue Loctite. It really sucks when they vibrate loose and then you think the engine's blown up, but really it's just a flex plate bolt has backed out. Yeah, we've all been there. When we get all these started, then we'll torque them to 100 foot-pounds each. And just like anything else, it's never a bad idea to step your torque amounts. So these torque to 100. I'm just going to go 50 on all of them, and then 100. And any flex plate you tighten, do it just like you're tightening a wheel. Just bounce across and back and forth, you know. And basically, when you're stepping your torques like this, you're just making sure the thing is mated and seated all the way before you go whole hog. Time to go home. You may now kiss the goat after a prolonged separation. It's good to see these two lovers back at it. She just needs a little additional persuasion. It's alright. It's been a while, I get it. There we go. Transmission is damn close, but not quite there. I think it needs to go up slightly. There it is. I gotta get under here and do the no-no thing, which is suck the bell housing on with a bell housing bolt, but it is working, and it's not binding up, so it will be just fine. If you haven't watched all of the videos, shame on you. But also, that is the numbers matching original transmission to the car as well. Reunited, and it feels so good. Man, what a journey this engine and this car have had. Now, of course, I knocked the dipstick out, so I made a gigantic mess under the car. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I want to embrace the good things. She just dropped right back in. Alright, well, it is married, but I'm not going to go any further yet. I haven't even put the motor mount bolts in yet, because I need to get some kind of header on here. The stock big car manifolds that were on the other engine are not going to cut it for this. And this thing was missing its ram air manifolds, if I recall. Normally, I would just put ram air manifolds on this, and I would have ordered them already, but they aren't cheap. I remembered that I've had this set of Hedman shorty headers for a Pontiac laying around for like 2 years. And I don't remember which car I bought them for, but I do know that they are for a 68 to 72 A-body. So let's open up this box. And we'll see if they, maybe they fit. Long tubes are a bitch to put on these cars. I don't remember how much these are. I don't think they're cheap, but I had them. And in car guy math, that makes them free. Well, never mind. I think the passenger side will fit, but this one, this is never going to fit. Let me show you why. So, you know, it seems like it would go in. It's just a little bit off, you know, like, oh, a little dinging will get you there. No, it won't. We got a tube that runs into the frame up there. I could get around that, but we got to move almost an inch, and there's not an inch between this collector and the cross member, not to mention the brake line that runs right here. We'd cook it. These are junk. Why do header companies make headers and never test fit them to see if they actually fit on a car? Why would you sell that as a direct fit header? It's the size of an exhaust manifold. Just make it like the ram air exhaust manifolds and it would be fine. I'm not dealing with that. Screw that. I have a set of ram air restoration ram air manifolds for a 64 to 67. I think they're pretty damn similar. I'm going to go grab them and see if they'll fit. and then order another set if they do, because I need them for that blue Le Mans. And if they don't fit, then I'm going to call Paul over there at Ram Air Restorations and just buy another set for this, for a 70, and they will fit perfect. Every set I've ever used of theirs is perfect, and you sacrifice no power over a long tube header even. Wow. See how there's room? It's basically where it needs to be. If they had to put the exit of the header there, it would fit, but no. No, we can't do that. I had to lift the engine on the passenger side to get it to clear, but it will clear, I'm pretty sure. There's not really anything down low to get in the way on this side, but sometimes they run into the oil filter housing. You got two choices. You can remove the oil filter housing and then probably slide it in, or you can just lift the engine up a little bit. That's usually how I do them. These are really interesting. Only 4 bolts hold the manifold on this side, but I guarantee you it ain't gonna leak. Let's give these a coat of paint so that they have some chance of not turning into solid rust. Using grill paint this time. We'll see if it holds up better than regular high heat. Would you look at that? It fits. Isn't that a hell of a thing? Freaking beautiful, man. Just like the Lord and Pontiac intended. I'm gonna grant you something. There's 1 bolt on the driver's side on these. You can't get a socket or a ratchet wrench on, so it's a slow one. You got to use a regular wrench and go about half a turn at a time. Hey guys, if you're a Pontiac guy, you're needing some headers or something like that, please look into Ram Air Restorations manifolds. They're comparable to the price of a header. They actually fit, and this cast iron manifold will perform as well or better than a long tube header. You can look it up. It's a fact. Just like the Pontiac cast iron intake manifold, you can't beat it. That's not where you gain power with these engines. If you guys do call up Ram Air Restorations and talk to Paul there, and tell him Dalton sent you. Now, they ain't never sent me anything for free, but I know Paul, and I think he'd get a kick out of it. Unfortunately, I tried to buy another set of Ram Air manifolds to replace the ones I used on the Goat, and it came to my attention that Paul Delfield of Ram Air Restorations has unexpectedly passed away. Paul was a major player in the Pontiac community, and it's a tremendous loss for all of us. If y'all wouldn't mind, just keep Paul's family in your prayers if you would. Alright, manifolds are done. Engine mounts are attached. I still got to bolt the torque converter up. I think that's it underneath the car, and then we can put it back on the ground, but got to give my back a little break, so I'm going to take a little breather here and just install the carburetor. When you're working on a car, it's important to keep moving, keep making progress, even if it's something little like bolting a carburetor on. Hey, that's one less thing you got to do later. You know, if you've never owned an old piece of iron like this, I can understand how this might seem kind of crazy to you, but I really believe that old cars, they kind of soak up their experiences over the years, and every person that's touched it, you know, this car was built by men, not with machines or computers or anything. The car had a soul from the minute it was born, basically, and I mean, I know it sounds crazy, it's an inanimate object, but I truly love this vehicle, and I know this vehicle is as alive as you and I, in a different kind of way. If all you've ever owned is stuff that controls itself with computers and shit, you may not understand it, but this car is more than just a car, that's for sure. It's got a soul, and it is very much alive. You'll note how everything just kind of falls into place. It's pretty easy going, and that's because it's the Holey Goat, and that's because, you know, this car and me, we're like this. Try to get these torque converter bolts started. Now, I think this converter, it's a B&M hole shot, but it's the big converter, so I think it's like a 2200 RPM stall. It's probably a little undersized. We'll see if it disagrees with the cam a great deal or not. Got a few things to button up before we can fire it up. It's getting late. I'll probably do it tomorrow. I'm excited and very nervous. This morning I've thrown some plug wires on it. They are hideous and they are not for a Pontiac. I will remedy that later, but they'll work for now. I hope you guys don't judge me too harshly, but I did get an actual battery cable for this thing instead of the jumper cables. And I need to move it to this side where I can get it bolted to the head. The battery's in the trunk. The ARP head bolts don't let you put a battery cable on them. The factory has one studded head bolt that you can bolt your ground to. So we don't have that anymore. But we could bolt it directly to the head over here and it'll be alright. Try to get this power steering disaster sorted out. Get our belts on. Then we can put a radiator in. Apparently I'm pretty confident because I guess I'm just going for it and putting everything together. Normally I try to fire it up before I reassemble everything. I guess I'm just used to failure. I have a confession to make, guys. I was trying to cheat a little bit. I haven't got the radiator in yet, but I wanted to see if it would bark off. So off camera I was like, I just want to see, you know. It didn't. We don't have any spark. And when I had to put those plug wires on, I had to pull on this Excel coil a little bit, and I realized that this thing isn't really attached. I'm going to blame that, even though it was working. Those things are kind of junk. We could put this new coil that was in this red cap that I don't know where this came from, but I hate red caps. So we'll just rob the coil out of it, install it, and try it. Alright, still no spark. Annoying. I know I've got power on the coil. Look at that, though. This connector has come unpinned here. That could be it. Please be something simple like that. This is the problem. See, I was confident, now I'm not. Yes! Yes! Okay, now I can put a radiator in. And don't worry about a break-in period. It's a roller cam, so you can actually do that and not harm anything. This is the same piece of scrap radiator hose that I used when we very first put this thing together. And here it goes, still doing its job on this engine now. Let's fill her up with coolant and get this thing started. Moment of truth, I guess. Let's give it hell. Too much timing already. Probably needs a little more timing than that, maybe. Crank up the curb idle a little bit, just till we figure out what's going on.
About 34 degrees of timing. Seems to like it. God, it's loud. I can't really hear anything, but I think it's good. Good oil pressure. Temp looks all right. Thermostat open. Oh yeah.
little stinky. I think I need to pull some jet out of that carb, but it sounds good. As far as I can tell, it's kind of hard to hear, really, but I don't hear anything bad. It sounds like it's running really good. Let's see if it starts back up. I've got the timing at 14 initial, 34 total. I've just kind of ballparked that, figured it would like it. We could pull a little bit out of it if it needed it, but it should be pretty happy there. Yeah, she's pretty happy there. We can fine-tune that later. But that is a good enough starting point, and the distributor is in dead nuts. So that tells me I'm probably pretty close. I'm going to tighten that distributor down, and maybe we try to drive it. We're going to take it for a cruise up the road, gentle. I'm not one of those, like, oh, it's a brand new engine, you could romp the hell out of it. Like, no, you take it easy on it for about 500 miles, but we can at least get a feel for it. Safety first. Got to get some exhaust on this thing, but I just want to feel it for now, see how it does. It gets along with that torque converter better than I thought it would. This motor hasn't ran in over 50 years. 50 years. It's back. Oh my God. All right, it's kind of wet out. I'm not going to push that. This thing is a death trap. I don't know if you might have realized that. Feels good. Running nice. That's not full throttle. It's strong. It's real strong. It's not quite right. I think I need to play with the carb, but I'm going to wait to do that until I've got the exhaust on it so I can actually hear it. Also, breaking news, the brakes are very soft now. Picked a good time for that to happen. Oh, man. God damn! It's a freaking monster. Comes down to idle. Sounds all right. That's why I don't like break-in oil. We're going to get that out of there as soon as we get home. I don't hear anything weird. Sounds all right. You can feel the engine breaking in. It's getting smoother. I mean, I am just blipping it there. I'm not doing that on a wet road, you know. God. You know what I'm going to regret? Not changing the motor mounts. This thing needs solid motor mounts. It is flopping around in there. I'm going to put a chain on it just in case. She's staying nice and cool, under 90 degrees. There, it's mobile. There, thermostat just opened. It's cooling off. Just as good as she ever was. Just got triple the horsepower. Well, I got a little cleaning to do on the floor here. Let me clean this up, pull that back in. We're going to change the break-in oil out of it, and then I need to figure out some kind of exhaust. I might run with the side pipes. Kind of depends on how tight of a bend I've got to make to get out to them. I know those side pipes, they kind of kill power. I don't know if I want to use them. I think just a straight pipe and a real straight through muffler, you know, I don't want to choke this thing down. Before I pull the car back in to do all those things, I'm going to go off on a little spur here and fix that hood. We got to weld that back together. We're going to do a little body work, you know. Probably about the same as I did the first time, if I have to guess. There we go. Throw some scrap metal into here where it's torn. Apparently I tried to weld that back together, and it held for a while, but not long enough. That'll brace her up. That's got to beef that up some. Alright, side quest accomplished. Let's get her back in. Got distracted by another side quest. Rear brake reservoir is completely empty. That would be why the brakes felt a little soft. We got to get it in the air to do some exhaust and stuff anyway. I'll probably take a peek, see if we can't find it. Getting the oil out of here. I'm doing my oil analysis right now. And I don't see any glitter. It's slightly gritty, and that's going to be normal as the rings are breaking in. It looks fine. There's no reason to go any further than that. Mostly because I just don't want to know, you know. I could cut the oil filter open and do all that, but let's just go with it's fine, you know. What am I going to do about it if it's not, right? I'm going to fill it up with regular old 1030 oil, and we're going to run that. We're going to see how it likes the 1030. I figure it's a new engine, thinner oil, may be a good idea. But then I will change this oil at about 500 to 750 miles or so. And then after that, it should be good for normal oil, but I'm just super duper paranoid about it. Out of habit, I ordered zinc oil for this thing. Got Lucas 1030, whatever. Zinc is still a great lubricant. As long as you don't have a catalytic converter, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to pre-fill the oil filter. Again, I don't normally do that, but brand new engine. I don't want it to start up dry at all. Now, from Rammer Restorations, I have lead pipes as well. And again, these are not for this car, so it's possible we're going to have an issue. It sure looks like they're going to work, man. His stuff is so good, you can use it on the incorrect application, and it still works. It's a tight fit, but it fits perfect. Also, I found our brake leak. That drum is very wet on the back. I think we probably just blew a wheel cylinder. I could probably get that fixed. You could kind of see why I don't really want to run these side pipes, because we'd have to basically come right out of here and they'll go shoot a 90 straight into them. That's over here. We can try to stick that hood on this thing at least. I got an extra hand. Yeah. Just not an extra back. Sort of. The hood tack on this car has always been bogus. And yeah, I know we're supposed to be doing exhaust, but this is way funner. Sorry, I threw away the box and I lost your return address, so I don't remember who sent it to me, but somebody sent this into the P.O. box. It's a nearly new... Oh, there it is. That's the old one. There. And Glenn sent this one to me. In fact, I think I wrote it in here. I did. That was always just a piece of plexiglass, and then I printed off a picture of a Pontiac hood tack and glued it into there. You can tell it kind of faded out, but it worked for a while. But now we have the real deal. And it's a reproduction one, but it's clearly never been used. I'm very lucky that someone sent that in, and so was Holey Goat, because I would have never bought one. This car was not actually a hood tack car, but thankfully I've already drilled the holes for these two, and now we've got our drain holes right here, so I gotta cut this wood screw off, and then we'll cut a hole and get a real deal hood tack mounted. We gotta patina this hood tack. The car is originally, I think it's called Lucerne Blue. I don't know. It's kind of a dark blue. So we're gonna paint this blue, cover up all the white. And then we'll come back with some orange and just try to make it look like it was always on the car. I made sure to put a lot of sand scratches in it so it blends in. This side needs more orange. Clear to kill it while it's still wet. That matte clear will make that look just as shitty as the rest of the car. It does look like it belongs on that hood. Got lights.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some exhaust on this thing, and I had some tailpipes laying around left over, and I got a couple of mufflers, and I had a couple sticks of 2.5, and we're just kind of cobbling something together. But the tailpipes are from the Sky Goat, but I dumped that car in front of the axle, and they really didn't fit that car, but they fit this one in there, kinda. Yeah, you got a sort of a exhaust system, which begs the question of what do we do with the side pipes? Leave them bogus or take them off? It was looking too nice under here, so we just decided to hold the whole thing up with a self-tapper. Let's see what it sounds like, and I think, guys, I'm gonna have to lop the side pipes off because now I have tail pipes, and that's super dumb to have both.
Sounds good. That motor's flying as can be. Well, I was saying, there's no way you can tell what the thing was doing the way it was.
Those are the mufflers I use. They're Rumble chambered mufflers. But they were cheap and they were at O'Reilly. They don't sound bad.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully, they really weren't attached on it well. Before I put it back on the ground, I'm trying to figure out where all the brake fluid went. I thought it was this wheel cylinder, but it's definitely not. It's nice and clean in here. I filled it back up, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And I noticed, look how rusty this master cylinder is on the back. It's possible that it's all just spilled out of that from a bad tap gasket. Yeah, I don't see anything. The only thing I notice is we definitely have a bad axle seal. That's where all that grease and grime on the tire come from. I think this thing needs a 9-inch anyway with all our newfound power, so I'm just gonna ignore that for now. We'll just bleed the brakes and assume it was the gasket. Seems to be gravity bleeding pretty well on its own. Oh yeah. I think it's fine. I think it just literally spilled out the top. I just spent a little bit here just to clean out the inside of it, make it a little more livable on account of it. I missed a leaf. Make it a little more livable on account of it being exposed to the elements, as it were. I'm gonna really try to keep this thing under cover now. We've got the room for it with our new storage shed. What do you do with your car when you're done with it? Well, you take it to go get ice cream, of course. Let's go get some ice cream. and maybe see what it'll do.
Oh, it's so much better in here now. Got to work on that squirter, that's for sure. Where am I smoking?
I think you're smoking.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
When I get on it, it's smoking. That's probably valve guides. Or maybe the valve seats aren't right. Something's wrong there. It's definitely not right. I mean, maybe it'll break in. I don't know. I think it's all right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the rings still haven't seated all the way. Possible. Everything else about it's great. It's carrying really good oil pressure and staying nice and cool and runs plenty strong. Carburetor needs some adjustment, but that wasn't fuel smoke, that was oil smoke. Surging there. Definitely needs a little more converter. Not a lot more, just a little. That's concerning to me. Look at that oil pressure. That's not, I mean, it comes right up. I don't know. I mean, the 455 I built myself with a dingle ball hone and some emery cloth carries better pressure than that. I don't know. They reserved us a parking space right next to the dumpster. Let's see if we see anything weird under that hood.
Oh, a lot of oil. Where'd that come from? Dipstick? Maybe that was the oil pushing it out the breather. So what we don't have is any sort of PCV system, and it may need it. I'm just going to have to get a grommet to put a PCV valve in it, or we may need to run a vacuum pump on something like this, because it's definitely regurgitating some oil when you stand on it. No, these are clean as can be. A little bit of carbon, but if it was smoking that bad, that whole thing would be oil. And it's maybe a little of something. It just smells like fuel. I think it's just shoving oil out, dumping it onto the manifold, then, it's like a cloud. Ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Goat.
Well, we got a few things to figure out on her, but I'll get them figured. Better bet your ass I'm going to call the machine shop in the morning and say, why does this thing vomit oil out of it, and why didn't you provide me with any sort of PCV system? Let's swing by O'Reilly and grab a PCV valve.
Okay.
Headlights still work. It does sound awful mean.
Alright, bonus content. You get to watch me put a PCV valve in. Feel privileged.
Ooh.
Good Lord.
Yes.
Jesus.
Exhaust fell off.
Whoops.
I wonder if I can't get the dipstick on all the way because of this header gasket thing. Maybe I could trim that up. What part of the exhaust fell off? All of it? Oh yeah, just that. I didn't have the clamp on it all the way. Oops. I can definitely put that back together. We'll just plop us a PCV in there. And stick that to the back of the carb. Gotta go get a piece of hose. It's very possible that's not breathing very well. Yeah, it just said it has those 5 tiny holes in the middle of that thing. I could definitely see how that's not breathing. At least as well as it should. Does this come apart? Fuck. Ooh. Remember, these were on the old engine. It's kind of plugged up. May not be breathing. Well, guess what I have? I got 5 more of these. Now, they don't say GTO on them, but they're the same exact thing. That'll teach me for shopping on the clearance rack. I thought for sure I probably just had an open breather somewhere. That one is a twist-in breather. Welcome to the speed shop, by the way. Where I have all the Mr. Gasket bolt-on bullshit you could ever want. And, look, my hose reel. Isn't that nice? Freaking fancy. I stole that from O'Reilly. GU in the back of the carb. Hooked up here. Look at my eyeball measuring skills. Look at that. Let go of me, Holey Goat. Oh. Let go. Here, we'll replace the element in there, just in case. See, I knew I bought all those for a reason. There. Well, it should breathe a little better. I got the exhaust stuck back together. I may have to weld that one, but we'll see. Let's see if it runs any different.
Change the idle. PCV valve did. Something would hook it up, that PCV valve made it idle up. Kind of weird. No blow by. I don't like the oil pressure still. It's like 15 at idle, and I did use 1030, and maybe they'll recommend something heavier. That doesn't seem right to me. I can't leave well enough alone. I want to see if that PCB valve has worked. Let's take this thing down the road and see if it's still puking. And I think I'm going to go ahead and change the oil and put thicker oil in it as well. But we'll try it this way first. There's good enough oil pressure just sitting here. Cold. Only when it gets warm that it drops. Let's see if my exhaust survives. Hey, it did that time. Well, my exhaust fell off again. Damn it. But anyway, I'm still going to romp on it a few times. I will say our oil pressure looks better now. I don't know what that's about. too. I smell some oil, but nothing like yesterday. Maybe burning off residue. There it is. Now it's dropped down to 20 pounds. I mean, it's doing fine, I guess.
Oil pressure leaves some to be desired, but I romped on it pretty good there a couple of times, and it didn't do what it was doing yesterday. Yeah, that made a big difference. I don't think it did anything. Dipstick's still in it all the way. I think it's good. PCV valve, very important, I guess. Probably especially while the rings are getting seated in there and it is letting some compression blow by the piston. That's my working theory, but it sure seems fine now, and I romped on it pretty good there a couple of times. This car is a blast. I think I need to put a little slower accelerator pump cam in it, and I think that would get us damn close there. Maybe just a slightly smaller squirter in general. It's too rich off the hit, but once you get moving, it's like perfect. I don't know. There's no cloud of smoke in here, though. I think it's fine. I'm going to fix the exhaust again. There we go. Look at those welds. Stack of dimes, am I right? All right, that should be fixed now. Okay, now the video's over. We'll see you guys next week. One final word here. If you're wondering why I didn't beat on this thing harder, A, I want to make sure it's okay. I think we're good now. But B, this isn't sponsored. I paid for that out of my own pocket. That's my money. That's over $10,000 on the line. And when it's your money, you don't just go beat the hell out of something. You know, I will eventually. I already ran it harder than I wanted to. So bear with me. Probably the next time you see it, I'll put enough miles on it that I'll feel pretty comfortable wailing on it. But this thing's not going to a track at least until it gets another oil change, for sure.